Oh yeah, let it snow. It's that time of year. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. It's that time. November is here and we're gonna kick things off with a donut recipe. I honestly can't believe it's November, but it is what it is, guys. We're rocking and rolling through this year. We've gone through the apple cider donut, the pumpkin spice donut, and now we're about to just nom on gingerbread donuts. These are gonna be the perfect fall time treat, guys, and I'll tell you what, these things slap harder than your last workout. But before we go any further, I'll go ahead and post the recipe on the screen now, so that way you guys can screenshot and reference it for later. Now guys, this recipe comes from one of our very own subscribers. That's right, you heard it, Nicole Ligeza. She's an all-around bad mama jamma. She holds a Master of Science in Sports Conditioning and Human Performance, is a Division I athlete in the sport of swimming, and also coaches at a local box in Utah. So guys, Nicole does offer coaching and training programs out in Utah, so if you're in the local area, make sure to hit her up on Instagram. And for those of you who are wondering about how to get into the Spotlight series, stick around till the end for more details. But otherwise, without further ado, let's get into these gingerbread donuts. All right, so first up, we're gonna go ahead and use a 1/4 cup of an all-purpose flour or a pancake mix. Now, Nicole has mentioned that pancake mixes tend to work pretty well. So in this case, we're gonna go ahead and try out using Kodiak pancake mix. All right, next up, we're gonna go ahead and use 40 grams of a whey and casein protein mix. Now, in this case, since we've got two different types of whey proteins, we're gonna go ahead and use an 80-20 split. 80% casein and 20% whey protein. Next up, we're swerving our way to some good old sweetness. We're gonna go ahead and use 2 tablespoons of a brown sugar. Swerve is my preferred low-calorie sweetener, but if you guys have any other brands on hand, feel free to go ahead and use that. Next, we'll go ahead and use 1 teaspoon of a baking powder. And then next up, we're gonna go ahead and use 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. And we can't forget the good old extra spice, so we're gonna go ahead and use 1 teaspoon of ginger. Then next up, we'll go ahead and use 8 grams of an unsweetened cocoa powder. Next up, we'll go ahead and use 5 grams of chocolate chips. Next up, we've got 6 grams of roasted pecans. Now in terms of wet ingredients, we're gonna go ahead and start off with 2 whole large eggs. If you guys don't wanna use 2 whole large eggs, feel free to substitute with 72 grams of liquid egg whites. Then next up, we're gonna go ahead and use 100 grams of a canned pumpkin. And guys, you know that Libby's is one of my absolute favorites in terms of overall flavor and texture. So we're gonna go ahead and use 100 grams of Libby's canned pumpkin. And then next up, we're gonna go ahead and use 15 grams of an applesauce or an apple butter. Then we've got 6 grams of good old molasses. And then finally, to wrap up our wet liquids, we're gonna go ahead and use 10 grams of a hot water. Looks like we've got quite the spread here, guys. We're gonna first start off with mixing all of our dry ingredients together. So here we are with all the dry ingredients. We're gonna go ahead and give this a good whisk. Make sure everything is integrated nicely because we want all of the flavors to come together and come out evenly. Guys, this bowl of dry mix is just really smelling absolutely awesome. Ginger, right off the bat, definitely very strong. Obviously, if you guys aren't huge fans of a super strong flavor of ginger, lighten it up, but you know what? This is definitely making my mouth water, that's for sure. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead and move on to the wet ingredients. All right guys, here we are with the wet ingredients. Just like what we did with the dry ingredients, we're gonna go ahead and give this a good mix. and then we'll soon put them all together. So the next step, guys, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our dry ingredients and then mix them into our wet ingredients. Now, just as a reminder, guys, once you start actually mixing dry ingredients into the wet ingredients, it's best to use a spatula because we're gonna actually start folding in the ingredients rather than actually whisking away. Here's what the batter is looking like right now. It's pretty similar consistency to what we had with the apple cider donuts along with the pumpkin spice donuts. So now we're gonna go ahead and put the batter into our donut tray and then throw it into the oven at 350 for 12 to 18 minutes. Fresh out of the oven, we've got 5 solid donuts. Now, we're gonna go ahead and plate this in just a second, but I just really wanted to comment just how absolutely ridiculous the smell of these donuts are. Mouth is just watering right now. But let's go ahead and plate this and get into the 3 categories. We are finally back with the gingerbread donuts, and I had to put on the donut hoodie. You know we love them donuts here, so we gotta represent. Shoot, I feel like I need to make a sweatshirt. But with that being said, guys, let's get into the 3 categories: anabolics, taste, and craving. So in terms of anabolics, this specific recipe actually made 5 whole donuts. Now, these are some pretty solid sized donuts, very comparable to what we had done for the apple cider as well as the pumpkin spice donuts. Now, in terms of total calories and the macro breakdown, we're looking at a total of 472 total calories for this entire set of donuts. Now, the macro breakdown being 16 grams of fat, 48 grams of protein, and 34 grams of carbs. Now, just a couple of things to keep in mind. I used Kodiak pancake mix along with not using a chocolate glaze. Instead, I ended up using a confectioner sugar just to put a slight dusting on it. But with that being said, guys, let's take a look at one single donut and what the total calorie and macro breakdown will look like. So for one single donut, we're looking at a total calorie and macro breakdown of 94 total calories, 3 grams of fat, 10 grams of protein, and 7 grams of carbs. Now, taking one of these donuts, let's take a look at what the average gingerbread donut that we would find at any other donut store. And for example, Krispy Kreme. They usually have a seasonal donut that's either a cheesecake filling gingerbread donut or a gingerbread glazed donut. But in terms of total calories, one gingerbread Krispy Kreme donut comes out to 200 total calories, 10 grams of fat, 3 grams of protein, and 25 grams of carbs. I mean, right off, like immediately, the numbers for each one of those categories already are just completely blown out of the water just with this one recipe. 3 grams of fat compared to 10 grams of fat. I mean, that's a pretty steep difference. And on top of that, protein right there is a pretty equivalent difference as well. And then the carbs just significantly reduced, 7 versus 25. So, you know, just based off of these numbers alone, I can tell you, I'm gonna go ahead and score this at a solid 9.6. So before we get into taste, you know we gotta do a close-up. I gotta try and feed you guys. So here's a look at what the donuts look like. Got a nice little dusting on top, gotta make it seasonal, right? So in terms of the gingerbread smell, I can definitely tell you that this is permeating throughout the entire house. So it's extremely seasonal and definitely feels like it's Christmas already. Here we are, guys. In terms of overall texture, I think we're feeling pretty good. You know, very similar to what we had seen with the pumpkin spice as well as the apple cider donuts. It definitely feels like this donut is holding a good amount of moisture inside. So hopefully you can see some of that there. But in terms of overall texture, I'm not really getting any slight hint of rubberiness or any type of dryness at all. So now that you guys saw what the inside of this thing looked like, let's go ahead and take it for a test drive. Cheers, boys. That is ridiculous. Let's go. Touchdown. Holy smokes. This thing is freaking awesome, guys. I'm giving this a star, just no doubt. The recipe itself, in terms of a baking standpoint, so I actually baked this for about 21 to 22 minutes. Now the recipe says I think it was 12 to 18 minutes, so I had a few additional minutes in the oven. At any of the bites that I've had, was the donut dry or rubbery at all. And now in terms of the actual gingerbread flavor, so before I actually threw these donuts into the oven, I actually added 2 additional teaspoons of ginger seasoning. So, you know, that's something that I think would be worth noting, that for me, I personally love the flavor of gingerbread. So I wanted the smell and the flavor to be that much more potent. So I added 2 additional teaspoons, which definitely really pronounced the gingerbread flavor. Now, in terms of the overall moisture, the texture, and the consistency, I mean, this thing is very, very solid and close to what you would find as a true cake type of donut. Now, going back to the apple cider donut recipe, if you guys haven't checked out that video, I'm gonna go ahead and link the card up in the top right hand corner for you to check out. but the consistency is very similar. Now, with that being said, guys, definitely giving taste a solid 10 because this is a great recipe. Now let's talk about craving. So in terms of overall craving, is this gonna satisfy it? You know this is gonna hit on all levels, especially when you're craving a donut. Now, the fact that we're hitting under 100 calories, now mind you that I didn't go with the actual chocolate glaze and I wanted to play around with an actual confectioner sugar and kind of give it a nice dusting. You know, gotta make it snow sometime. Better on these donuts than out there. But with that being said, guys, in terms of overall craving, yes, this is gonna definitely satisfy your craving. I mean, right now I'm holding back so hard right now from chowing down on all of these donuts. But with that being said, guys, we're gonna go ahead and give this a solid 10. Well, guys, we just went through 3 categories: anabolics, taste, and craving, for a total score of 9.8. Holy smokes, I think that's probably one of the highest ratings that we've had since we've started these anabolic reviews. This is downright a solid recipe, guys, so definitely check it out. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and obviously feel free to reach out to Nicole if you guys are in the local area and are interested in any type of coaching or training sessions. She's got a wealth of knowledge, I'm 100% sure. If you absolutely loved hearing this donut recipe, give this video a big fat thumbs up. Huge shout out to Nicole, and let me know in the comments below if you guys would love to see more donut recipes. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like we've been on a donut kick and it's been running super smooth. So I'd say let's go ahead and continue this, but let me know in the comments below what additional types of flavors you guys would love to see when it comes to the good old donut. So over the course of this channel, I've got a lot of different requests from our viewers and subscribers on recipes or anabolic recipes that they'd like to showcase on this channel. And I really needed a way to better figure out what the logistics of those requests were gonna be, because I had way too many requests coming in through Instagram DMs as well as YouTube comments or messages or emails. So if you guys are interested in participating in the Spotlight series, go ahead and go over to my Instagram, go into the Linktree link, and then fill out a form and you'll be able to submit your anabolic recipe through there. And on a month-to-month basis, what I'll basically be doing is I'll showcase some of these recipes on my Instagram stories, and then as an audience, as well as some other variables based off of seasonality, just pure interest, and then also time allotted for the specific recipe, we'll go ahead and make our elections. So we'll go ahead and do that. I figured that this would be a fun way to be able to interact with you guys, but also, you know, hopefully be able to share some really awesome stories for our viewers and subscribers. You know, at the end of the day, we're all here to really help advance our fitness journey as well as our nutrition, and the opportunities for us to be able to make an impact on somebody else's life is just tremendous. So I'd love to be able to take this platform and be able to help somebody out, even if it's at least just one person, on either motivation or just really changing the entire perspective on how we approach our fitness and nutrition for us all to become better than yesterday. So with that being said, guys, I'm gonna put a link in the description box below. Go ahead and check that out. And also follow me on Instagram, because a lot of updates will be posted on my Instagram stories. So that way you guys can stay up to date on what recipes will be introduced in the coming months. Super excited to hear all of your guys' anabolic recipes, and hopefully we'll get you up here. But outside of that, stay safe, stay swole, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.